Good afternoon. Welcome to Business 360, your complete view of the stories driving business, markets, and the economy. I'm Apa Ongpin, and this is the Bilyonaryo News Channel. The second week of the impeachment trial against Vice President Sara Duterte begins today. We get the latest live. Malacañang insists Ted Herbosa's resignation as Health Secretary was not linked to the controversies he faced as veteran orthopedic surgeon Jose Pujalte takes over the post. Robinson's Retail is on track to delist from the Philippine Stock Exchange after the Gokongwei family raised its stake to nearly 100%. Diesel and kerosene prices are headed sharply higher this week. The U.S. and Iran trade dozens of strikes overnight, while the Strait of Hormuz is closed again. And more supermarkets and retailers are switching to cage-free eggs. But can producers keep up? And what will this mean for shoppers? We speak with Lever Foundation straight ahead. It's the second week of Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial, with both prosecution and defense presenting more witnesses. Hannah T is live at the Senate with the details. Hannah.
Apa Senator Judge Rafi Tulfo pressed the defense to explain the alleged Operation Romanov, which it claims triggered Vice President Sara Duterte's controversial claims she made during a 2024 online press conference. On day 4 of the impeachment trial, Apa Tulfo asked the defense whether the Operation Romanov it referred to was the same one mentioned by blogger Princess Maui during that online press briefing. The defense confirmed that it was, prompting Tulfo to ask whether Princess Maui or any other witnesses would be presented to support the claim that there was an alleged plot against the Vice President and her family. The defense replied that it intends to present witnesses on the issue, but said it's not yet ready to disclose their identities, explaining that it will depend on how the trial unfolds. Apa Tulfo also noted that he first heard the term Operation Romanov during a Maisog Leaders Forum in Davao, where it was mentioned by Davao City Mayor Duterte, and asked whether that reference was connected to the one raised by Princess Maui. But the defense said it could not comment on the mayor's statement because it had no personal knowledge of it. Tulfo further asked why the defense had described the vice president's response as unconventional, but the defense gave no further explanation other than saying the word speaks for itself. Apa, the trial now focuses on the second witness named NBI Regional Director Attorney Jeremy Lotok, who is testifying on the process of authenticating the video where the VP allegedly contracted someone to kill President Bongbong Marcos, First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos, and former House Speaker Martin Romualdez. Apa?
Hannah, is Zuleika Lopez still there?
Apa, as of latest monitoring, we've received information that Attorney Zuleika Lopez, the Chief of Staff of the Office of the Vice President, may still be here. In fact, she's inside one of the rooms or the holding rooms here at the second floor of the Senate premises. If we can recall, Apa, she's actually among the expected witnesses to testify in the impeachment trial of the Vice President this week. But so far, we have received no word from her whether or not she will testify before the Senate impeachment court. Apa.
Okay, well, let's see. That was Hannah T, live from the Senate. The prosecution in VP Sara Duterte's impeachment trial says the proceedings could stretch into next year, with dozens of trial dates still set. But they say the evidence this week will be more telling. Isaiah Mirafuentes is live at the Senate. Isaiah, anong bago dyan?
Apa, bago magsimula ang ikalawang linggo ng impeachment trial, sinabi ng House Prosecution Panel na kabilang sa kanilang mga pinag-uusapan ay kung paano mapabibilis ang impeachment trial dahil nga base sa pre-trial order mula sa impeachment court, 9 trial dates ang inilaan nila para dito. Ibig sabihin, Apa, posibleng umabot ito sa susunod na taon.
din naman namin itong matapos sa lalong madaling panahon. Ayaw na naman namin itong patagalin unnecessarily, no? But of course, without sacrificing our ability to properly, efficiently, and effectively present evidence.
Paliwanag pa ni Atty. Tolosa na kada matatapos ang trial ay nagsasagawa ang prosekusyon ng assessment. Ito ay para matukoy nila kung kinakailangan pa nilang iharap ang isang testigo. Subalit sinabi ng prosekusyon, asahan na raw na mas magiging maingay ang mga ebidensya ngayong linggo. Nila, kung sa unang linggo ay naipakita ng authenticity ng mga ebidensya, ngayon naman daw ay may papakita na nila sa taong bayan kung karapat dapat pa ang pieces sa kanyang posisyon. Samantala, sa kabilangan ng patuloy na usapan kaugnay sa threshold o the numbers required to convict the Vice President, ayon sa House Prosecution Panel, sa ngayon daw nakatuon ang kanilang pansin kung paano mas mapapabigat ang mga ebidensya laban kay VP Sara. Apa.
Salamat, Isaiah Mirafuentes. Over on the defense side, VP Sara Duterte's team is pushing back on the prosecution's evidence and clarifying her controversial bloodbath remarks, saying it was never a threat. Jilly Sandabal is live at the Senate with the defense's side. Jill?
Apa, earlier today, the defense team of Vice President Sara Duterte submitted its position letter in regards to the subpoena seeking the Vice President Sara Duterte's Bureau of Internal Revenue or BIR records. The defense also said there is currently no scheduled meeting with the Vice President regarding the ongoing impeachment trial and that they still do not know whether she will personally attend for future proceedings. However, they are not ruling out the possibility of her appearing before the impeachment court. Meanwhile, the defense clarified that Vice President Duterte's controversial bloodbath remarks, saying that it's never intended to threat against anyone. According to them, the Vice President was referring to her own suffering and personal toll of being the subject of the impeachment proceedings, saying that the bloodbath pertained to her own blood. The defense also expects APA that the second week of the impeachment trial to continue on focusing the articles of impeachment about the grave threat, and that they said that they will continue the cross-examination of the witnesses presented by the prosecution. APA?
Okay, that was Jill Savandal live from the Senate. The Department of Health has a new secretary. Dr. Jose Pujalte Jr. replaces Ted Herbosa. Pujalte is a veteran orthopedic surgeon who is no stranger to government health care. He joined the DOH in 1991 and has served as medical center chief of the Philippine Orthopedic Center since 2014, overseeing the country's premier specialty hospital for orthopedics and rehabilitation. He also founded the Philippine Shoulder Society and once led the ASEAN Orthopedic Association. He's a graduate of the UP College of Medicine with a master's in hospital administration from Ateneo. Notably, he was also endorsed for this same post back in 2022 when the job went to Herbosa instead. Malacañang said Herbosa stepped down for health reasons, reportedly opting to resign after a knee operation that will require 3 to 4 months of rehabilitation. Herbosa had led the department since June 2023. His exit comes amid scrutiny of his tenure. Several health groups had called for his resignation. His time at the DOH also became the subject of complaints before the Ombudsman over alleged fund mismanagement. But the palace says that did not come up in his resignation.
Nag-resign po siya dahil po sa kanyang kalusugan. Ang isinaalang-alang po ng Pangulo ay ang kanyang kalusugan.
Malacañang, meanwhile, is rejecting any suggestion that naming former Budget Secretary Amenah Pangandaman to head the country's only Islamic bank means she's been cleared in the flood control scandal. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said Pangandaman's designation as chair and CEO of the state-run Al-Amana Islamic Investment Bank of the Philippines is unrelated to the ongoing probe. Castro maintained no case has been filed against Pangandaman and emphasized it is not the president who determines criminal liability. According to Castro, the investigations being handled by independent investigating bodies including the Office of the Ombudsman and the Department of Justice, not by the President himself.
Sa ngayon po ay wala tayong nakikitang anumang kaso na kinakaharap ni dating Secretary Amena Pangandaman. Kung meron po sila maikakaso at meron po sila ebidensya, sila po ay malaya na magsampa ng kaso.
Reporters had asked Castro whether the appointment sent the wrong message after Pangandaman resigned as budget secretary last year amid alleged irregularities in flood control projects. Up next, the Gokongwei family has cleared the way for Robinsons Retail's delisting after pushing its ownership to nearly 100%. And speculation is heating up over the future of ABS-CBN, and this time it may involve not one but two of the country's biggest businessmen. Stay with Business 360. Welcome back to Business 360. I'm Apa Ongpin. The Gokongwei family has cleared the way for Robinsons Retail's delisting after pushing its ownership to nearly 100%. Joel Caballero has that and other corporate stories.
Robinsons Retail Holdings is all but gone from the stock market. The Gokongwei family now owns 99.69% of the retailer. Less than 0.5% remains in public hands. The final push came Monday after JE Holdings completed a block purchase of nearly 230 million shares. The deal was worth an estimated 11.1 billion pesos. That puts the group well past the 95% threshold for voluntary delisting. Trading of the stock was suspended Monday morning. It last closed at 38 pesos on July 10th. The company wants the delisting effective by July 28. Megaworld is tapping its real estate investment trust, MREIT, to fund the next wave of its township developments across the country. The Kevin Tan-led property giant has raised 5.6 billion pesos from selling MREIT shares over the past few months. That money will finance new projects in Palawan, Bacolod, Pampanga, Cebu, Iloilo, Cavite, and Pasig. In return, MREIT is set to absorb a fresh batch of office, mall, and hotel assets, pushing the trust past 950,000 square meters and within reach of its 1 million target. That's ahead of its 2027 goal. The planned asset infusion would broaden MREIT beyond its office-heavy portfolio, giving investors a wider mix of recurring income. BDO Unibank has shortened its offer period for its 6 peso-denominated ASEAN sustainability bonds after strong demand from both retail and institutional investors. Originally scheduled to run from July 9 to 21, the bank closed the offer on July 10. The bonds have a tenor of 1.5 years and carry a coupon rate of 6.26% per annum. Issue, settlement, and listing are set for July 28. Metrobank's top executives are buying more shares as the stock trades near its 52-week low. Chairman Arthur T. and Director Alfred T. invested a combined 385 million pesos in the lender on July 10. The T brothers each bought nearly 2.95 million Metrobank shares at 65 pesos and 40 centavos apiece through their respective holding companies. The purchases increased their already sizable stakes in the bank. Arthur T's total beneficial holdings are now valued at more than 20 billion pesos. Metrobank shares have been trading close to their lowest level in the past year. For Business 360, Joel Caballero.
Speculation is heating up over the future of ABS-CBN, and this time it may involve not one but two of the country's biggest businessmen. San Miguel Corporation President Ramon Ang made a surprise appearance at the birthday celebration of MediaQuest Chairman Manuel V. Pangilinan, aired Saturday on TV5's Vibe Plus. Ang's name has recently surfaced in market talk as a possible investor in ABS-CBN. A report by Filipino Star Ngayon said neither businessman issued a denial when asked by reporters about rumors of a major partnership involving ABS-CBN. Pangilinan's response was, "Ewan ko," before pointing reporters to Ang. Ang, for his part, said that it would be an honor to work with Pangilinan, telling reporters to, quote, "wait and see." Their exchange comes amid deepening cooperation between TV5 and ABS-CBN. TV5 President Guido Sabaliero recently confirmed more TV5 programs will air on ABS-CBN platforms, with talent sharing expected to follow. It's a notable turnaround. In 2022, a landmark cross-investment deal between the two media groups collapsed just weeks after it was announced amid political and regulatory pushback. Relations were later strained by a reported dispute over nearly 1 billion pesos in unpaid content fees. Whether the renewed ties lead to an actual investment in ABS-CBN remains to be seen, but for now, neither camp is shutting the door. SM Prime is raising the curtain on its biggest entertainment investment in Cebu yet. SM has unveiled a 7 billion peso arena aimed at attracting more international concerts, major sporting events, and large-scale productions. Here's a look.
The SM Mall of Asia Arena 2.0 has risen in the Queen City of the South. SM Prime formally launched the SM Seaside Cebu Arena, its newest and biggest indoor live events venue. The company expects the arena to help turn Cebu into a hub for international events while bringing more tourism activity outside Metro Manila. Designed by global architecture firm Arquitectonica, the 7-story arena features the signature wave-shaped glass windows of its sister venue. It has a maximum 25,000 seat capacity, perfect for gathering audiences to enjoy world-class live productions. At the center of the venue is what SM calls Cebu's largest and most advanced center-hung display, designed for concerts, sports, corporate shows, family entertainment, and even motorsports events. The arena also features 30 luxury premier suites, complete with private restrooms, VIP lounges, and unobstructed views of the event floor for an exclusive and immersive viewing experience. Officials, government leaders, business partners, and guests raised a ceremonial toast during the launch of the SM Seaside Cebu Arena in Cebu City on July 9. For SM, the project is more than 2 decades in the making. SM Prime Executive Committee Chairman Han C. said the arena grew from a long-term vision for Cebu, inspired by the late SM founder Henry C. Sr.'s strong belief in the market.
This is an improvement of the MOA Arena. So many other things that we were able to introduce that were not in Cebu. Especially the seating, it's not anymore as steep as the one in MOA Arena. That's why we ended up with a bigger seating capacity here.
SM Prime is aiming high for the SM Seaside Cebu Arena, with global superstars among its target acts. C revealed they wanted to bring international film pop star Bruno Mars to Cebu, but the award-winning singer had already started his world tour.
There are many other surprises pa. No, I wanted really everybody, the Filipinos, to be proud. That's why I'm looking for those one way or another connected with the Philippines.
Beyond concerts, SM also sees the arena as a catalyst for sports tourism. The arena is directly connected to SM Seaside City Cebu and will eventually link to an SMX Convention Center and nearby hotels. The goal is to turn trips into a multi-day Cebu getaway, encouraging visitors to shop, dine, stay in local hotels, and explore more of the province.
We're very confident on Cebu and its ability to attract tourists. My thinking is that international people from Korea, people from Indonesia, from Singapore, they'll also consider, because we have a beautiful venue here for the concert and we have a beautiful island.
The arena kicked off its major events calendar with Beanie's Cignal's World Tour on July 11. Other announced performers include Filipino acts 4 of Spades, TJ Monterde, and Casey Tandingan, as well as American pop rock band Lainey. The venue is also set to welcome the FIBA Women's Asia Cup in July 2027, bringing some of Asia's top basketball teams to Cebu. For Business 360, Che Sulit, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Philippine Airlines is rolling out a 3-day flash sale, offering discounts of up to 50%. The promo runs from July 15 to 17, covering selected domestic and international routes. Travel through January 2027 qualifies for discounts of up to 30%. Trips from February onward can receive up to 50% of select domestic base fares and up to 40% off select international base fares. PAL is also offering 0% installment plans for qualified domestic bookings of at least 20,000 pesos, payable for up to 3 months through participating banks. The Philippine Stock Exchange Index starts the week lower to settle at the 6,200 level. It tested the 6,300 level in intraday trading before making a sharp turn back on a downward trend. BDO and BPI closed lower at nearly 1%. Gains of top winners today were modest. In Asian markets, South Korea's Kospi plunges nearly 9%, dragged down by SK Hynix. Shares in the chipmaker sank on profit-taking and concerns over weaker than expected second quarter earnings. That's despite a strong Wall Street debut on Wednesday. The Kospi sell-off triggered yet another circuit breaker. Japan's Nikkei 225 also slipped, weighed down by renewed tensions in the Middle East. Iran has escalated its attacks on U.S. forces across the Gulf, launching a fresh wave of missile and drone strikes on American bases in Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, and Jordan. Iran's Revolutionary Guards are now warning of even more, quote, incidents in the Strait of Hormuz, which Tehran says it has once again closed. The strikes mark a sharp escalation after the two nations traded heavy missile and drone fire over the weekend. Iran says that it has also hit U.S. targets in Qatar, while the U.S. military says it struck more than 300 Iranian targets in 3 nights. In response, the U.S. ambassador to NATO, Matthew Whitaker, says the U.S. will not tolerate further interruptions to shipping in the critical strait.
Commercial shipping can't be terrorized in the Strait of Hormuz. And obviously the memorandum of understanding between the parties was always performance-based, and that President Trump, if shipping is attacked or if the Iranians want to act belligerent, then he will respond with overwhelming force.
Diesel and kerosene prices are going up again this week by as much as 4 pesos and 62 centavos per liter. Che Sulit reports.
Motorists should brace themselves for a new round of oil price hike taking effect tomorrow, Tuesday. The Energy Department said diesel prices may increase by 2 pesos and 62 centavos to 4 pesos and 62 centavos per liter. Kerosene prices may also go up by 2 pesos and 22 centavos to 4 pesos and 22 centavos per liter. Meanwhile, gasoline prices may either drop by as much as 1 peso per liter or increase by the same amount. Energy Secretary Sharon Garin said global oil prices remain volatile due to developments in the Middle East. Garin added that if volatility persists, the DOE may stop announcing price ranges next week and instead prescribe a single definite maximum or minimum adjustment. She said the move is intended to protect consumers and ensure that local fuel price changes reflect movements in the international market.
Nag-range tayo kasi we thought that with the agreement kakalma na yung presyo, ano? But by observation of this week and last week, parang hindi pa siya bumababa at bumaba. So if the prices are still volatile, ayaw natin ng abuse, no? It's better for the protection of our consumers and also for monitoring ng gobyerno.
The DOE also welcomed Senator Risa Hontiveros' call for an inquiry into consumers' concerns on the high prices of their electricity bills. Garin said the public must remain vigilant over the decisions of public utilities. She stressed that the probe does not presume any distribution utility, electric cooperative, or other industry stakeholder is guilty of wrongdoing. Guerin said the investigation will help ensure compliance with policies in place and may also identify areas where existing rules can be improved.
We're very supportive of the probe para makita rin at maintindihan din ng mga tao kung tama ba or mali ba at kung may mali din kaming policy or regulation. So that will help us also do better service to our constituents. Yes.
The DOE also reported that repairs of select transmission lines and power plants in the Visayas grid are ongoing. This comes after the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines placed the Visayas grid under yellow and red alerts following the forced outage of a 138 kilovolt transmission line on July 8. The outage caused Iloilo Panay Energy Development Corporation's Unit 3 to trip, while the 135 megawatt Palm Conception coal-fired power plant in Iloilo went on emergency shutdown. For Business 360, Che Sulit, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Senate President Sherwin Gatchalian is urging the Energy Regulatory Commission to stagger Meralco's latest rate hike. Gatchalian said the ERC should thoroughly review the charges passed on to consumers and ensure they are justified before allowing the full increase to take effect. He warned the hike would add to the financial strain on millions of households and small businesses. Meralco raised its July residential rate by 34.28 centavos per kilowatt hour, adding about 69 pesos to the typical monthly bill of a household using 200 kilowatt hours. The utility said the increase was driven by higher generation costs amid rising fuel prices, the Malampaya gas facility shutdown, and greater use of more expensive liquefied natural gas. Coming up, cage-free eggs are coming to more stores. What will this mean for buyers and farmers? We ask a sustainability expert next. This is Business 360. Welcome back to Business 360. I'm Apa Ongpin. Philippine retailers are increasingly committing to cage-free eggs, a shift toward more humane and sustainable food production. A new report from Lever Foundation looks at how 23 retail brands are keeping up with that promise and what it means for the price of eggs for shoppers and for local farmers. To break it down, we're joined by Robin Del Rosario, who is Sustainability Program Lead at Lever Foundation. Welcome, Robin.
Good afternoon, Papa.
Yeah, I want to explain to our viewers that Lever Foundation has nothing to do with Unilever. It's pronounced Lever to begin with. So tell us about your organization and the kind of work you do.
Right. So thank you again for having us. And so Lever Foundation is a US-based organization. We focus mainly on helping leading companies in making their supply chain become more sustainable, more humane, and also safer. So we're present in the Philippines. We are also present in Southeast Asia region, Greater China region, and also we're starting our initiatives in India.
Okay. So tell me, what is cage-free eggs?
Okay, so this is also one of the difficulty introducing the cage-free eggs in the Philippines because there are not a lot of resources available. Back then, we started in 2021, and most of the misconception is that is brown egg considered cage-free already? What's the difference between cage-free, free-range? So basically, cage-free eggs are eggs coming from hens that are not kept in battery cages. So battery cages are this big, and 2 to 3 hens, they share the same space. So cage-free eggs are eggs that are not coming from those hens.
Okay. So would they still be in a big coop?
They will still be in a barn,
Yeah.
but they will not just be kept in those battery cages.
Yeah.
For example, also for free-range eggs, they are still kept in a barn, but they have freedom to go out of the barn for a certain time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you have just released your 2026 Philippine Retailer Cage-Free Egg Progress Report covering 23 retail brands. Now, how was the report put together, and what exactly does it measure?
So we started the data gathering by asking some of our staff to go directly to the retailers and just observe the SKUs, the shelves, and the data that they gathered is the portion of caged eggs versus cage-free eggs. So the report...
How could they tell if they were caged eggs?
So there are labels.
Oh, there are labels.
Yeah,
Okay.
there are labels. And the report covers 2 dimensions. So first, the portion of cage versus cage-free on the shelves. And second, whether these retailers have a commitment to increase their cage-free availability in the future, whether they would like to go 100% cage-free by a certain timeline in the future.
For transparency, Lever Foundation works with several of the retailers included in this report. How can you ensure that the scorecard remains fair and objective?
So when we gathered the information, we actually reached out to these retailers because we wanted to be as accurate as possible. Because maybe there is a policy in place, but we are just not aware. Publicly, they haven't announced it. So we reached out to them to confirm whether these numbers are accurate or whether you have a plan to announce a policy in the future, but you're still in the works. So we wanted to be very fair. And some of them, they're actually, they're not saying no to having targets, but they need more time. So we also would like to acknowledge those progress from these retailers.
Okay, so many of the country's biggest retailers are still in the middle of the transition, with some targeting full adoption by 2028 and others by 2033. What's making the shift challenging for these large retailers?
Based on our experience talking with these retailers, I think the bigger retailers, because they have more locations, and given the geographical feature of the Philippines, it's a bit more difficult to supply eggs to far-flung areas, right? So I think those are just the challenges that they are facing. Secondly, it's also the timing. The bigger corporations, bigger companies, they require more time to internally discuss. They cannot just come up with a policy. So we also acknowledge that. They cannot just do a decision overnight. But if they would like to have that time or to have ample time to decide, then we also acknowledge that in the report.
Your report shows restaurants and hotels have moved faster in adopting cage-free commitments. It's retail that's still catching up. Why does the transition look different for retailers?
So in our experience working with the companies in the hospitality sector, they have more freedom in pricing,
Okay.
right? And also, it's influenced by the international policy of their parent companies, the bigger hotel chains. It's the same as what's happening in the restaurant and cafe sector. But for the retailers, they have direct relationship with the consumers, and the consumers are more sensitive to pricing as well, because just one piece, it will affect
Are cage-free eggs more expensive than?
They are more expensive. I think generally a more sustainable option. We're seeing back then, 5 years ago, it was double in price.
Wow.
But now that we are seeing progress, there's a demand, we can see as little as 10% difference.
Okay, because it's scaled up, I guess.
Yes, and also there are other options that the farmers, they came up with solutions on how they can bring cage-free eggs, but not as expensive as having cage-free brown eggs, because there are different types of handling the chickens, and I think the white eggs are cheaper compared to the brown, but you can still have it as cage-free, depending on how they keep it.
What is the difference really between white eggs and brown eggs. I talked to a chicken farmer once, and he says, there's no difference. He says that we can charge more for the brown eggs. People think they're more organic or something.
The brown eggs, it's just the breed of the chicken, actually. And they say that the brown eggs are more costly to manage. So there are options now for white cage-free eggs. But again, the cage-free eggs, it just depends on how the hens are kept. So whether it's brown, whether it's white. As long as they're not kept in cages, it's still cage-free.
Okay, eggs are an affordable source of protein for many Filipino families. Does going cage-free necessarily mean high prices at the supermarket? And who ultimately bears that cost? So it's the consumer, no?
Right. So also now we're seeing, because there's a demand, the price gap between the cage and cage-free is decreasing already.
Okay.
But the pricing, it still depends on the negotiation between the suppliers and the retailers, because there are a lot of factors that they consider: the logistics, how the supply chain goes. So there are a lot of factors that play into the decision making and also the pricing. But mainly, we see, even if it's more expensive, I would say, but in the coming years, we see a decrease in the gap of the pricing.
Okay. Can local egg producers keep up with these commitments? And what support is available for the poultry farmers who've already invested in conventional cage systems?
The good thing here is actually the government is supportive. Back in 2020, they actually issued the Code of Practice for cage-free egg production. So we see support from the government, from also other NGOs. And I think the support that's available is that we have ample supplies. So whenever a company decides to go 100% cage-free, we can assure them that there's a supply that's available in the market.
Okay. So you've said the Philippines is showing some of the strongest momentum on cage-free sourcing in Southeast Asia. How do we compare with our regional neighbors?
So Lever Foundation is present in Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand. And I would say that the big difference between Philippines and those neighboring countries is because we have farms geographically where it's possible for us to have those supplies. There's also interest from the farmers themselves. So as you mentioned earlier, what about the farmers that already invested in conventional? So we see also that difference from the farm owners themselves, because they see the potential. There are a lot of companies that are committing to shift in the future, and therefore they still have time to change from the conventional, even if they already invested that. They can just allot a certain percentage of their production to cage-free anyways, as the market transitions in the future.
Okay. You've said, looking ahead to your next report, what would meaningful progress look like for the Philippine retail industry in terms of this topic?
The reason why we release these reports is actually to open doors. We would like to have this great relationship with the retailers. And of course, we acknowledge the ones that are voluntarily, adding cage-free options. And for those who haven't set their policies, it's just our way to tell them that we're open. We would like to listen to their needs, because it's different for each retailers. They have different concerns. They have different solutions. So based on our experience releasing the hospitality scorecard, the restaurant scorecard, usually after we release that, more companies who work with us, they become more interested because their peers are doing it. So they would like our help. And that's what we provide. We provide specific solutions to their problems or for their issues. So after that, we see more commitments after we update it, perhaps after a year.
Okay. Finally, for retailers that have yet to make a public commitment, what's your message to them? And how does Lever Foundation help companies begin the transition?
So we usually, when we pitch the idea to them, we ask them what is their hesitation? What is the possible solution to that? And Lever Foundation, we provide solutions. We would like to let them know that it's possible, there's a supply, and even if there's a shortage or there's no supply in the area, we walk the extra mile to help them. So at least you can assure them that the sector, the food sector in general, is changing. they're heading towards the cage-free direction, and that any difficulty they would have, there's always a solution that we can provide.
Okay, great. So thank you, Robin Del Rosario.
Thank you.
And up next, the race for speed is also becoming a race for sustainability as Toyota puts coconut-based biofuels to the test. Business 360 will be right back. Welcome back to Business 360. I'm Apa Ongpin. The race for speed is also becoming a race for sustainability as Toyota puts coconut-based biofuels to test on the racetrack. Our mobility correspondent G. Baroga has that story.
The Toyota Gazoo Racing Philippine Cup returned for its second leg, this time with race cars running on coconut-based biofuels. Toyota says the test is part of its push to find cleaner energy solutions and support its goal of carbon neutrality. But Toyota Philippines President Masato Hashimoto says the move was also prompted by fuel supply issues that affected its Santa Rosa plant earlier this year.
The first impact to us, Toyota's operation, was factory. In Santa Rosa plant, we are in the shortage of the LPG gas, which runs the paint oven of our plant. I have to protect jobs, protect investments, and protect car industry. That's my motivation.
While the shift has drawn mixed reactions, Toyota says biofuels are not new, with their use already supported under the Biofuels Act. The company is using motorsports as a test bed to see how higher biofuel blends perform under race conditions. Toyota says it is also working with the government to expand the use of biofuels. It adds that greater biofuel use could reduce dependence on imported fuel while creating more opportunities for coconut farmers.
Tamaro is using B5 instead of B3, so more coconuts than before. As one of the racers, I didn't realize that the small changes. So I'm listening to the voices. BIOS is running on E20 instead of E10. So 10 percentage point higher, double. So this is a little bit significant.
The TGR Philippine Cup is headed south to the Batangas Racing Circuit for its third leg and will be back here at the Clark International Speedway for the culminating round. For BNC Mobility, G. Baroga.
The cashless fast lanes you've seen at the MRT have now arrived at LRT2. Commuters can now pay their fare with a simple tap of a Visa or MasterCard or a scan of a GCash QR code. No beep card, no ticket line needed. The system was launched by the Department of Transportation and the LRTA with RCBC and Visa. It's a big market to capture. LRT2 carries more than 58 million passengers a year. The government says LRT1 is next. And that's Business 360. We'll keep tracking the moves that matter across markets, policy, and the economy. I'm Apa Ongpin. Thank you for joining us. Keep it here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.